Hey
PC culture.
y'all,
Hey, y'all.
Wel- welcome to our show, our Beavis and Butthead show that we've got going on from Northern California libertarian, republitarian, and a Southern California former Democrat, anti-war, now staunchly conservative
Anti-war.
Southern California, Southern California resident.
Yeah.
Anyways, just wanted to touch today on some school updates. We've got a gentleman in Northern California. Do you want to take this one, Tyler? Since it's Northern California territory, maybe you might know a little bit more about it than I do. But there is a gentleman up there that's kind of doing some haywire shit, and I think Tyler can shed some light on
It's just a reoccurring theme we've been seeing among people who are of the left persuasion in political positions is they're completely hypocritical. I mean, we've seen Gavin Newsom, by example, say you have to wear masks in restaurants, and then is this week even again getting caught being maskless inside a restaurant. But in this instance, there was a school board member. Wait, no, sorry. Head of it, was it head of a school board, or was it
it. No, just a member.
just a member? Okay, just a
Yeah.
member of a school board telling San Franciscans that they couldn't bring their kids to school yet. It's not time. It's not safe to have their kids outside of your home. You got to keep them locked in their closet for another year, maybe, because it's not safe to have them around adults, even if the CDC has been saying even that they're not known to transmit, and even by their own metrics, the survival rate among people under 18 is 99.9%. So, yeah, him and the rest of his school board members tell San Franciscans they can't have their kids meet in schools. Meanwhile, he shows up and someone got a picture and some video of him dropping off his kid at some private school.
All right, so just to get everybody up to date, this is the video of Matt Myers, a Berkeley teachers, Berkeley Federation of Teachers president, who has been fighting against the parents for reopening or against reopening schools, simply because he kept saying that there was a mitigation of loss that he needed to avoid. It's just crazy. And then this group called Gorilla Moms kind of hounded him for a while because they were fed up with him, because they were the ones really running the show for the city. And so, anyways, long story short, I'm going to show this video really fast, just showing how Gorilla Moms, this group, recorded him dropping his daughter off at some private school, totally obliterating his hypocrisy into the public sphere. So this, I'm going to show.
Yeah, it's been a year.
Real life children do not keep their masks on.
His dreads are ridiculous.
Look at his crappy car, dude. Really? That's all he could afford?
He
What
lives
a
in
joker,
he
dude.
lives in Berkeley. It's a really expensive city.
Crazy stuff, brother. Crazy stuff. So, anyways, long story short, this guy, this was just today, but for a while now, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, cities like Las Vegas, they'd all been, and of course, Tyler, what? They're all Democrat, right? Of
Yeah.
course. They've all been closing their schools for a while, and nobody really understood why it was just Democrat leaning cities until recently, when union bosses started coming onto the radio waves and the television waves to show their corrupt faces. One of them, her name is Randy Blobberman. I don't know what the heck her last name is.
The CDC has recommended that kids stay in school, and what we've seen happen in Europe and in the UK is that what has worked is to keep schools open. So why the decision to close the schools in New York at this 3% level?
So, by the way, the CDC has actually just taken that recommendation you just had off their website, and let's see where the CDC ends.
That was today. Redfield said that today. Let's play that. That was today. Let's play it.
Yeah.
K through 12 schools can operate with face-to-face learning, and they can do it safely, and they can do it responsibly. The infections that we've identified in schools, when they've been evaluated, were not acquired in schools. The truth is, for kids K through 12, one of the safest places they can be, from our perspective, is to remain in school.
That was earlier today, Randy.
So, yeah, no, what I'm saying, but look, I think that Dr. Redfield is right.
I don't know what her last name is, so you're gonna have to help me out with her last name. But the other one's name is Cecile Reyes, which is the union teachers president of Los Angeles. And then there's the other situation in Vegas that we have where we've got, I think it was, can you clarify the number, about 30 kids who killed themselves, or was it more?
No, I have the article.
It's unreal. Well, Las Vegas has been suffering their own epidemic of suicides now, and that's the issue, is that it's city after city after city.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Since schools shut their doors in March, which is a year ago now.
Zoom that in, my man.
Okay. Since schools shut down in March, an early warning system that monitors students' mental health episodes has sent more than 3,100 alerts to district officials, raising alarms about suicidal thoughts and possible self-harm. By December, 18 students had taken their own lives.
Okay. So yeah, about 20. About 20. Yeah.
And one,
I mean, that number's obviously more, you know.
Yeah.
But
this is in one school.
And that's the point. That's Las Vegas. So it's not just one. It's not just limited to one city, one district, one locale. It's all over the country. New York. The parents in New York are fed up because they can't even go to work. And in New York, if you can't work, you can't survive. Now there's like winter blasts hitting those areas. So people need money now more than ever. And so and what's ironic is that like the only locations doing fairly well are the Republican held areas of the country, which kind of startles me because like we were talking about in our last show, if that really does start to show, what happens during the free market is that a lot of people are going to start to kind of flock to the conservative areas, causing a huge windfall, man. You know what I mean? Like that's what do you think is going to happen?
Obviously, it's already been happening with a huge amount of people moving out of these oppressive cities and into more rural areas. And we've seen Florida and Texas have huge population explosions. And
I'm going.
Great. You are officially? It would be nice. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's been since like last year. I've been planning this, and slowly but surely, I'm finding like, all right, the more you look for a house, the easier it gets. It's just crazy how it works. So I've been looking for land, and now I know how to find good land and what to look for and everything, and I'm just kind of moving in that direction because fuck yeah. And I need to find one with like possible bunker capabilities. I'm serious, man. It's getting bad, bro. And I don't know if you heard, but now Biden is going to be moving into gun reform.
Yeah.
I mean, the motherfucker he's just jumping through like all of these new, like totally life-changing regulations.
Yeah, he doesn't care about the Constitution.
It's bothersome.
55 executive orders. And I was just saying, he's 55 executive orders only 2 months into his presidency. Unheard of rate.
Yeah, you know, but the thing is that some presidents do executive orders for like stupid shit, you know, and you know that. This guy's using executive orders that could like alter humanity.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
like
Keystone Pipeline.
an executive order to allow people to. Well, yeah, well, an executive order to allow people to go get abortions all the way through like 8 months, 9 months. Like
Yeah.
that's life changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like massively like murdering.
Yeah.
All in 1 year, like the
So
wall completely stopping it, jobs cutting them all off. It's
you see the headline
idiot.
today.
Bombing Syria.
Yeah. Since then, there was another rocket attack into Baghdad, at the U.S. embassy or something, as a retaliation or something. And yeah, it's bad. But to answer your question, what do we do? As
Did I
parents,
ask you that? If I asked you that, yes, exactly. If I didn't, then yes. What do we do?
well, you've already said one thing you can do is move out of your liberal cities, and that's vote with your feet. Because you know all this pressure from these school boards of having kids not come in while their parents are making time and a half by never changing out of their PJs is it's stupid, and we know it's obviously they don't care about parents and their children. So vote with your feet, move if you can. But if that's not an option for you, and I realize that that's probably the case for most of our audience, then who you need to put the pressure on is two things: the school board and the teachers unions. School boards wise, an entire school board just resigned in Oakley, California, because parents were putting pressure on them and they messed up.
You know what
Was that?
Yeah, the Oakley board,
Yeah.
Screw those morons.
You up.
The unfiltered conversation caught on camera Wednesday night among the Board of Trustees with the Oakley Union Elementary School District.
They want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back. Right.
The candid discussion that lasted several minutes abruptly cuts off when they realize they had an audience.
Oh, we have the meeting open to the public right now. Nuh-uh.
The board president, Lisa Brizendine, can be heard apologizing at the end of the meeting.
We were having a private conversation because we were really struggling at that moment with all of the board comments that were coming in, because we want what's best for kids so badly.
You know, that's exactly how this gets fixed. You know, when you said we put pressure on them, it's not just like we call them and complain. No. The putting pressure on elected officials now has changed into a different kind of animal. Now it's all about embarrassing them in the public sphere. Mm-hmm. So if in fact like board members from a school district are kind of clowning parents or giving you a hard time, or even if it's not even a school board, but like any kind of board, and they're giving you any kind of grief, just blast them on social media in any way you can. Just embarrass the crap out of them. Eventually they're just going to get tired of it. Eventually the news coverage is going to get too overwhelming if you keep doing it over and over and over and over again. There was this guy I think I told you about, Tyler, years ago. His name was what was his name? Mad Dog Mike or something like that. And he would go to all these like Los Angeles city councils, and he was like he would always be going, and he would always bark at them, and like it would always annoy them because he would always be there. Finally he started actually spinning the wheels of justice. It was cool, man. It was cool to see. You see like a progression. And like if we all did that, like Project Veritas, sticking it to them and sticking it to them and sticking it to them and not stopping. Yeah, I mean, so like for example, the reason I haven't done anything for my son's school is because right now his teacher is actually very caring and he's really trying with my son. Mm-hmm. So I can't say it's the teacher's fault. You know what I mean? Like even the teacher has sent me messages saying like, you know, we're all doing our best or whatever. He is one of those where he's like, I can tell. And plus my son's teacher grew up in the country, man. He's like, I have a feeling he's a Republican, bro. Like he's just he's very conservative. He shoots guns. He said he's been hunting. That's not a Democrat. I'm sorry to say, I don't want to judge, but or stereotype, but that's the truth.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Your student's teacher can only do so much. So I think maintaining the focus on unions is good. I'm sorry, the school board is good, and do like what they did to that guy in Berkeley. Excellent. Follow him around, figure out, is he being hypocritical like many of these politicians are? But another thing
or one more really fast thing that we could do is we can record a documentary on the union's powers. The last union documentary on these schools was done in like 2007.
Wow. Yeah. So here's a big stat. Union membership rate in the United States has fell more than 50% since the 70s. There's now only 10% of the population is in a union, but the union population for teachers has like teachers.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you for some reason. Oh, that's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'll just use these. Let's see. There. I'm just gonna like use these one from now on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Cool, man. Yeah, so unions have fallen a huge percentage since the 70s. It's now only right above 10% of the population is in the union. But teachers' unions have really gotten a hold of school boards and school districts in this nation. Among the only industries that have shot up a huge amount in population in this country is school boards. But school boards really can only, just like any other union, I misspoke there, teachers unions, just like any other union, only really can exist on dues and what other political support they have. So if you are supporting your local teachers union and you are unhappy with your child's treatment, then that is a huge poker chip you have at the table. Is you don't have to support your teachers unions at this time, and I wouldn't be surprised
if it's any consolation to anybody out there. I've never supported them.
Good.
And I never will. And I never will. Absolutely. They call me literally about 8 times a month for money.
That's probably because a lot of teachers unions are, especially in areas like Los Angeles, where they've had this mass exodus, are really hurting right now.
Yeah, especially when they're used to a lot of money coming into the bank. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. A lot of money. How many kids are impacted and slammed and crushed and crammed into the classes in the Los Angeles Unified School District? I mean, I'm not sure what the numbers are. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not sure what the numbers are in Chicago and New York, but here it was always between 30 and 40 per classroom. When I was a kid, it was 20 per classroom. So it jumped almost 100%.
Yep. And I've heard numbers like 55 is in like the biggest schools in LA, which blows my mind. 55 in a classroom, yeah.
That's like a college class that's like angled up in like there's like a.
So we've already talked about the solution, but I think it's really important to establish why it's so important that we do this. We've already talked about
shit.
Yeah, to give a shit
so
about
important this. To give a shit.
Yeah. So
just give a shit.
just give a shit. I mean,
Just give a shit.
But Las Vegas, the example we talked about earlier about how in like one school, 18 kids committed suicide, and there were 3,100 psychological crises among children in all of Las Vegas. Oh man, someone took down the Trump speech. There's our website here.
Yep.
So aside from mental health, it's also important because something super important to the health of kids is socializing, and it builds them into functional adults. The more they socialize, the more functional they can be. And additional to these mental health issues, the lack of socialization, the child abuse rates are going up. And child hunger rates have been skyrocketing, especially in urban areas, because there are some families that can't afford multiple meals a day for their kids. And those,
I would really like to know.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to know how they all feel about who they voted for. Wouldn't you?
Buyer's remorse. Yeah, this is
I would really love to just go door to door to all these idiot Democrats and just have a talk with him on all of them on camera.
I guess that's in my multi-layer attack on the issue of kids being out of schools is having more open dialogue with your people around you, especially if you're in areas that are greatly affected by this, is to call attention to a lot of the issues that are being caused by the politicians in power, and that may influence things in a positive direction. And I think people are right now kind of petrified because of how what happened on January 6th has kind of tied an identity to people who voted right in this election, and cancel
What do you mean
culture.
by that?
It's just people. It's like, oh, Trump supporters are terrorists, and that's generally as far as conversations go politically nowadays on social media. And people are no longer sharing their political views. And something I just want to establish really quick before I go down in that rabbit hole is politics isn't just politics isn't just who the president is. It's like your local school board, your who is running your, I don't know, state assembly. You know, that's just it's not. It shouldn't be. Everything is so focused now on top down. It should always be bottom up. Yeah, but one thing that a common argument among people who are on the left persuasion of politics tend to do is blame racism for certain things. Yahoo News here has this article they came out with featuring Gavin Newsom. LA Teachers Union condemns school reopening deal as propagating structural racism. It's all about Gavin Newsom's deal with state lawmakers to provide $2 billion in financial incentives for schools to reopen, specifically including San Francisco's public schools. And I just want to point out that that's not really a sensible argument. And it's just a card that is pulled to try and shame people into wanting their kids to get an education and have mental health and socialization. And I just want to point out that we shouldn't be swayed by such language. Like, you know, we know it's safe for kids to be in school. Fauci says so. Biden says so. So no more of this shaming of people to try and get them to bend to their will. It's ridiculous, and it's an old trope that has gotten too old. So don't relent. Let's take care of our kids. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and one of the last things I'll say is what you just showed on that article on how Los Angeles is now finding another excuse not to open schools. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think it's about their safety. I don't think it's about their health. I don't think it's about the fact that they want vaccines. I don't think it's about that they don't have enough PPE. I don't think it's about the fact that it's racial inequality that is spurring this reopening of schools, causing more rich areas to benefit while the poor areas don't. I don't think it's any of that stuff. I think it strictly has to do with laziness. These teachers want to stay home and milk the teat of laziness and victimhood. I said this in the beginning of this episode that people right now are almost addicted and hooked on the high of victimhood. And if you can say I'm in danger for any reason whatsoever, I'm in fear for any reason, I'm worried or I have concerns over my safety for any reason, you're automatically lifted up on a pedestal in society now.
Yeah.
As if it's like something to brag about, like to be weak and disheveled and frail. Like, I don't know about you, but I've got such a traditional way of looking at myself and the society that you need to be dog eat dog, survival of the fittest, strong, keep going. Which reminds me, I didn't know that he went through some medical.
Oh, Jordan Peterson.
Serious stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I just found that out today.
Yeah, he it just released another book, by the way, 12 More Rules. But yeah, he
have you read that, by the way, yet?
Yeah.
How good book. Is it? Tell me, man.
Well, it's imagine listening to Jordan Peterson for like 8 hours or whatever.